You're watching Bring Your Worth TV. Thank you for coming through. I apologize for some of the challenges this afternoon. It's about 111 degrees. Actually, I think 115 degrees here. I almost said New Orleans. I'm having flashbacks to when I used to live in NOLA. You see the beads right above right above my big head. It is hot here. It's about 115 here in Vegas. We're breaking all kinds of records. I had to take a shower because I was sweating and the internet wasn't working. It's been an amazing, amazing period of time. If you're an entrepreneur, you know how it goes. The show goes on. So thank you for being patient with me. I'm entrepreneurial coach Damon Brown. I'm host and proprietor, as Shannon Sharp would say, of BringYourWorth.tv. You can go ahead and reach me over there every Wednesday at around 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time, obviously. See, I'm starting to sweat already. I'm glad I have a cold drink next to me. you can subscribe. You can subscribe to Bring Your Worth TV for free at any time at the links below. If you're watching on LinkedIn, good to see y'all. You can go ahead and follow me on LinkedIn if you prefer that. And of course, if you're on other networks, other channels, what have you, if you're following me on Amazon, shout out to y'all as well. All the products and services, other things I talk about are going to be, depending on your system, somewhere around my head, and you'll be able to grab all the stuff I'm talking about there. Y'all on all the other platforms, feel free to, if it's anything I'm talking about, whether it's a video, recommended book, product, service, whatever, all the links are below, so you don't need to rewind unless you want to hear me yapping some more. You can get the complete Bring Your Worth collection. My latest book, number 27. Can you believe it? I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but still a lot of books within the period of time I've been alive. Very proud of it. Thank you for making them bestsellers. This is the complete collection of the Bring Your Worth collection. I think I just said that. It features the Ultimate Bites as Entrepreneur, which you guys made a bestseller. Thank you. As well as the eponymous Bring Your Worth, which started this whole thing, as well as my personal favorite, Built From Now, which really came from a lot of the stuff that we were dealing with during the pandemic. Thank you for the love and support. You get the whole collection here. It's really a gift to y'all. I sell all the books individually. I have my own publishing house, so we're all done with my little hands, as well as working with, a printer and cover designer. Shout out to Beck Loss, as well as the editor. But there's my own publishing company. If you want to support the indies, you can support me that way, as well as giving love to y'all because, it's a lot of value in this. It's about 8 books in this one book. Happy to go and give it to y'all, and I hope it helps you get to the next level. And in case you missed, excuse me, in case you missed it, he's already getting to me. In case you missed it, Reclaim Your Creative Power live Q&A is actually sponsored by Short Form. Shout out to them. I think the link is below for Short Form. If not, you'll see it in the post. But shout out to them for sponsoring the video from a couple weeks ago. I took last week off because here in the States, it was not only a holiday, but I also had great family stuff and celebrations happening. So took a break from y'all. It was actually from 2 weeks ago, the Wednesday before last. Be sure and check it out. I talk about the 3 ways that you can disrupt, that you can actually empower yourself within a system. You can either master the system, which means you understand the dynamics of it. You can become the best of it. Think Drake and think Michael Jackson. Depending on the generation you're in, you know who I'm talking about. Then you can disrupt the game, which means getting involved in the game and then breaking off and doing your own thing. Think Prince, rest in peace to him, as well as think Kendrick Lamar, who's been, of course, a topic big time in the rap circles, which I've been a big part of. And then lastly, you can overpower the game. That means that you make so much of an impact that the game shifts to you and you're actually not part of the system. Think Jay-Z, who started his independent hustle with his 2 partners with Rockefeller, or think of J. Cole, who actually is independent now and has very much been working in his own eccentric, whatever term you want to use, circles. Be sure and check out the episode. I love the feedback on it so far. And this is actually connected to 2 popular episodes I did featuring the aforementioned artists. Be sure and check it out. So it's been in total three episodes. One episode, start right here, and then you can learn more as you go deeper. All the episodes are super short, so but I think you guys will appreciate it, especially for if you're doing side hustlers, solopreneurs, non-traditional entrepreneurs, the people that I coach. A lot of y'all, this is for y'all. So this is the energy. All right, today's show: run your business while on vacation. A live Q&A. If you have any questions or comments or feedback along the way, the lines are open. And as Fraser Crane would say, I'm listening. So this came to mind because, again, I'd taken a break last week, had family celebrations with my in-laws as well as my blood family, whatever you want to call them, and then also had 4th of July, which we celebrate here for Independence Day here in the United States. And the show has to go on. Now, I still was putting out content and other things, but a lot of it was automated, to be honest. Also, it made me really think how many of us are working on the 4th of July, which is again a holiday here in the States, or Canada Day, which you guys just celebrated up north. How many of us are grinding it out on Diwali, which is what my in-laws celebrate, or on our particular holidays? And how long does it take for us to push until we realize we actually do need to stop in some form, whether that's taking a nap, that's taking a vacation with ourselves or with our family. Um, it's just taking a breather and taking a morning off to strategize. How often do we give ourselves that gift? And in fact, that's not even the right terminology. It's not even a gift. It's more like a necessary pause. I have a recent video I did about this. It's linked below, but I'll get to that later on in the episode. But taking that pause, as entrepreneurs, we're wearing all the hats. We're CEO and often CFO, definitely COO. How many O's are there? Double O, COOs. So as we're working through that, when do we take all the hats off and say, I'm good for right now? If we had traditional jobs, there are two things that would happen. Some of y'all that do the side hustlers might have traditional jobs, so you would understand even a level that I I don't understand anymore since I've had a traditional job in a very long time. Two things happen with a traditional job. The first thing is that you're paid a certain salary, and unless it's commission based, which is a little bit unusual, it's pretty fixed. So one of the authors I'm going to talk about today, Mike Michalowicz, to you, hope you're doing well, has a great book called Profit First. It talks about that. So he gets to the financial part of it. Maybe I'll do a future episode about it if you guys are interested. Again, shout something in the comments if you want me to work. But he talks about how we often underpay ourselves as entrepreneurs, as founders, and I'm a founder, what, 4 times over or whatever. We don't separate the founder from the CEO. The founder is someone who creates the company, and then they usually have equity in the company. So it's usually a percentage of whatever sales are made go back to the founder because they own 3%, 30%, 80%, whatever. But then there's also the pay that goes, the salary that goes to the CEO, the president, whatever term you want to use. And that's a fixed salary. Those two things are separate, but yet we're wearing all the hats. So we don't pay ourselves appropriately. The reason I bring that up is that number one, we have that aspect of it, the financial part of it. But then we also have the rest part of it, the all the other resources that need to be renewed, right? And so when we say, okay, I got a new job, traditional job, corporate job, or even a blue collar job, more of a traditional, salt of the earth job. They're going to say, okay, here's your package, right? So health, insurance, all that stuff. And then what do they say? They say, and you get 2 weeks of vacation and extra day of vacation based on seniority every year that you continue to work at the company continuously, right? Pretty basic, at least here in the States. Again, give a shout if you live somewhere else and it sounds different to you. If that's the case, so I get my mic a little bit closer. If that's the case, then when do we do that for ourselves? I have a publishing company. I have Bring Your Worth TV, which you guys are watching, and I have my freelance business, which essentially is just me. Those are 3 businesses. None of those businesses say, "Hey, go ahead and take a break today." Nobody does that. Or hey, you have some vacation time. You better use it before the end of the year, or it's going to go away. Nobody does that for us. Nobody. So we have to do that for ourselves. So that's what inspired me today to have this conversation, y'all, to be like, you know, it's not even a matter of us deserving a break as far as entrepreneurs, but we actually need a break. It's literally built into the American system that that corporate workers and so forth need to have a minimum amount based on HR guidelines of breaks. But we don't have that as independents. And in fact, we have quite the opposite. We have quite the opposite where we have a rise and grind culture. So look, I took a shower day. Actually, I had to take 2 showers because it was so hot. I took a nap today. I actually spent a little bit of time with my kids this morning and played with them just briefly before they went off to camp. That isn't just leisure, as they say in England. It's not leisure time. It's actually part of a bigger system, whether it's our bodies and us getting the rest and needing to take a break, or it's us actually getting wiser with our strategies and how we are creating this life that as entrepreneurs we're taking all these risks for. So that's what we're going to talk about today: how to run your business while on vacation. We're going to talk about why we fear vacations. Shout out to Elon Musk because he really drove that topic home about 10 years ago. I did a lot of columns about it. So why people like Elon Musk fear vacations, why a lot of us do. Second of all, how we can structure things so that we're able to take a break. And then third, last thing is how we can build in structures so that it's not just a one-time thing, but actually can become part of our lifestyle, which we do have lives outside of being entrepreneurs. If you have any questions, drop some below. The first question that comes to mind when I talk to folks about this is, why can't I take a break? Legitimate question. I have coached hundreds of entrepreneurs, and most of them, you know who you are because you're similar to me, where it's like, Damon, I know I need a break, but I can't afford to take a break. It could be financial, but oftentimes it's psychologically. I can't afford to take a break. What do you? I can't take a break. And I found there's two big reasons why we can't take a break. The first big reason is that our to-do list is too long. We got too much stuff to do. I have my yep, there it is. I have my index cards. Shout out to y'all in the comments with the recent episodes talking about index cards. It's a messy index card, but actually it's my plan for the week on here. And I use index cards because if it doesn't fit on the index card, and you feel free to pause. There's nothing secret on there. But if you feel free, if it doesn't fit on the index card, and with my messy handwriting, then it's not going to get done this week. And so it forces me to cull things down. You might feel like you can't take a break because the to-do list is too long. You got too much stuff going on. And of course, you have a few options when it comes to this. One thing is to prioritize, which is what I do. The second thing is to get some support. And I'm going to talk about some virtual support tools, whether it's using like AI or just good old fashioned software to take some of that stuff off of your plate. Or it could be a person where you get a virtual assistant or a real life assistant, what have you, who will take some of that stuff off your plate. So the prioritization often is the challenge when it comes to that. The second layer of that is that we often want to stay in control of whatever we're doing. And that can get into perfectionism. I've done a TED talk about that. You can see it in the links below. It could get into perfectionism. It could get into wanting things to be in a certain way. And if you want things to be in a certain way and you're by yourself or you're not training or bringing in support that knows exactly how you want it, or the support that you bring in has their own big ideas, which might actually, frankly, be better than yours or stronger than yours or more appropriate for yours than yours, but you're not open to that, then you're going to have that pile on of saying, I can't take a break. If you feel like you're doing everything and you're a founder, then you might need to find a way to offload some of that. Again, either virtually through software or virtually or in person through an administrative assistant. It might be the point where your business is big enough where you need to hire people, or you might actually need to scale back and figure out what exactly is your priority. There's quite a few great books about it. I can throw some recommendations and the links a little bit later on in the replay of the show. There's a couple that are coming to mind immediately. But if you're curious about that, throw some comments in there. Like, is that something that you're struggling with as far as feeling like you can actually take a break? The second reason why we often feel like we can't take a break, and it's something that I struggle with a little bit, but I wouldn't call it a struggle, more like a process, is the timing is too great. This book needs to come out this fall. If it doesn't come out this fall, it's not going to quite hit the pop cultural moment. This is the moment. This is the time. You know what? I need to take this meeting overseas. I know it's not a great time to travel, or I got stuff going on with my family and all that, but this is the time. What we need to do, myself included, is to separate what timing is based on actual facts and what timing is based on a deadline or a pressure that we're putting on ourselves. I'll give you a simple example. When I'm actually going to be doing some interesting stuff in the publishing world. I'll just keep it very broad because I need to keep it private for right now. Interesting stuff in the publishing world soon, but it's based on my own publishing company. There was one cool thing I wanted to do. I want to say at the top of the year, and I was like, "This is going to be hot." It actually involves a show. Like, I can't wait for y'all to see it. It's going to be amazing. I'm I'm might be more excited than you are. And then things got jumbled around. My priorities got shifted. There was stuff going on at home. There's stuff going on with work stuff because I'm a consultant, so I was working with other folks. There was even stuff going on with some of my coaching clients, and they really needed my support at the time. And happy to be supportive of y'all. You know who you are. And so I felt this weird pressure. I'm like, no, I said I was going to do this publishing project, and it was going to come out, let's say, in the spring. It's not going to come out in the spring now. I'm failing at this, and I had to calm myself down. I was like, wait a second. Okay. Does anyone else know about this project aside from the folks that are involved in it? No. Okay. So the public doesn't know about it. I didn't promise y'all anything. Okay. Is the publisher breathing down my neck to get it out? Well, yes, but you're the damn publisher. Damon, you're the publisher. You're working for yourself, right? Which is what I was getting at the top of the show. You're working for yourself. Okay. And does this timing matter as far as it needing to be out, say in the spring? I would like it in the spring, but does it have to be in the spring? No. And as soon as I went through that really brief process I just went through, and I was saying this stuff out loud, I was solely by myself. I was like, oh, and suddenly everything calmed down. You see, my shoulders are up. My shoulders just kind of calmed down. It's like, calm that down. Nobody knows about this project except for the folks that are involved. It's not expected at a certain time except for by you. And the timing doesn't matter except for you really want to do it. So the project's still happening. I'm excited. But suddenly it's like, oh, I have some breathing room because I got the family stuff going on at home, and I have stuff going on with my coaching clients, and I have stuff going on with my consulting clients. And I was doing some travel earlier this year too. It's like, okay, why am I putting that pressure on myself? So those are the two reasons I think why we feel like we can't take a break. Number one, we have too much stuff on our list, but there's actually things we can do to get some of that off of our list. It might take some time, but that's actually more in our control than we think. And the second thing is that we think that this timing is ideal, and that's why we push ourselves so hard. Sometimes the timing is ideal with my second startup, Cuddler, which connects people for hugs. We launched it at the exact right time as a co founder, along with two other co founders, launched at the exact right time. And then we end up selling the startup exactly at the right time. In some ways, we couldn't have planned it. We had some planning in there, but and I was a COO, so a lot of the strategy was I was pushing the strategy part, but I and we can't take full credit for it. That was a case of timing. So if you read the Bite Size Entrepreneur, I talk about the story behind that, as well as in some of my later books. But again, they're all in the complete Bring Your Worth collection. And even with that, I knew I was pushing myself, and we all knew we were pushing ourselves because this particular timing. But as I said, I have a newsletter at joindamon.me. You guys can join for free. I talked about that in the Wednesday newsletter I do again every Wednesday. I talked about that this morning, where often I would push myself based on the promise that I would take a break immediately afterwards. That was my promise to myself. Yeah, I'll do these late nights, and I'm at home with my partner and I's first kid at the time too. He was like one, the single digit one. Like he was a baby, about to turn into a toddler when I started the journey with Cuddler. And it was like, I can push myself, but I'm going to push myself within this particular parameters because I knew we had a certain window of time. Sometimes, though, you make that bet with yourself. I make that bet with myself and say, I'm going to push myself. I'll rest immediately after. And then and then the after doesn't come. And then all the stuff on the to-do list continues. Particularly, my partner and I have two kids. They're 8 and 11. It's been nonstop, like, forever. We're talking decades of this, right? Not to mention the dynamics with all of y'all that don't have kids or our parents taking care of, whatever. We all got our stuff, particularly if we're adulting and we're adulting the right way. We all got responsibilities. Listen, that list doesn't stop. And so make sure if you make that promise to yourself, as far as saying this needs to happen now because of the timing, and that promise is that you're going to rest after, for God's sake, please rest after. And that's how we end up getting, frankly, hemmed up. As we used to say back in the day, you end up getting hemmed up because you were promised to yourself rest. And that means that you're pushing yourself way harder than you normally would based on that promise you made to your body and your soul. And sometimes we don't fulfill that promise. And yeah, our body will come to collect. From a practical standpoint, one of my favorite products or services, whatever you want to call it, to actually allow you to offload some of that is a company called Strikingly. Shout out to y'all. I've been working with them for a long time. I want to say I've had my stuff with them for about 6 years, maybe even 10 years. It's been a long time. Probably since I started my journey as far as publishing company, which was about 8 or 9 years ago. Strikingly is fantastic. Let me go ahead and pull them up and yeah, hopefully my technology will cooperate. Share screen. There we go. And let's get you going. Awesome. Looks like it's working. Good job, Damon. All right. And so strikingly make a website in minutes. You might have heard of similar stuff like Wix or what's the other one called? Squarespace, stuff like that. I'm partial to strikingly for quite a few reasons. Number one, the customer service is awesome. Number two, their pricing is great, particularly for what they do. And number three, they're really good with the multimedia. And I'll go ahead and show you the basic one. This is stuff you're going to see at Strikingly, the main website. Again, all the links are below. These are affiliate links. And so I actually will get something from it. But more importantly, you guys will get something from it. And so there's actually bonuses in there because I was able to work it out with the companies. So you can see what's happening. You can see that they've been around for a minute and they're pretty reliable. The e-commerce store. This was the game changer. And let's go ahead and hop into it. I'll go and get on my let's stop that screen. And then I'll go and get onto my own website, which is built on Strikingly. There we go. And not trying to plug anything, just to make sure that you guys saw the flow. And so this is what was built on Strikingly. I actually built it myself. Did not take that long. What I love is the integration of there I am on the TED stage back in the day. And so everything's built in there, like my sizzle reel, they call it. So, like, if people want to hire me as a keynote speaker, which is part of what I do, if you want me to keynote speak, shoot me a DM. Let me know what's happening. My strength quiz, which is based on bring your worth, um, and then there's my mug over there, and then it just flows from there. And enough about me, but that's kind of how it works. And what I love about it, in fact, there is one other thing. See, I lied. There's one other thing I wanted to show you guys. Yeah, I forgot the main reason I was showing you guys that. All the way at the bottom, continuous scroll, da da da. And and my engagements, so all the speaking I've done and podcast appearances, this is where it gets fun. So the whole store, my store, if you want to coach with me, if you want to buy books directly from me and have them signed, if you want, I do not have my Bring Your Worth t-shirt right now. Shout out to Charmaine Jackson, Dr. Charmaine Jackson, for the Get You a Therapist t-shirt. I'll go and throw a link below. If you want to get the Bring Your Worth mug, if you want to get involved with the merch or whatever, um, then you can get it all through here. So you have my coaching, you have the complete Bring Your Worth collection, as I'm talking about right now. You have if you want the full physical ones, if you want them, I got them. Passive Writer, shout out to Jeanette Hurt, my co-author on this, talking about passive income for writers. You get them all there, as well as the old school I'm sorry, Built from Now t-shirt. So you can cop that, like, etc. All that is in there. Let me go and close this up. There we go. Looks like we're still on the air. Again, technology's been wonky today with the heat, but all that's built in there. The reason I bring that up is that I don't have a separate website for what they call like fulfillment or one that's going to accept the payments for thing and all that. All that is built within Strikingly. I think I pay like a slight extra charge just to have that store in there, it's worth it because you can go to damebrown.net right now, and anywhere from us having a coaching consulting where I do a 15-minute consulting with someone who wants to coach with me, we find out if we're a good fit, or you end up buying a Bring Your Worth mug, t-shirt, whatever. It's all in there. So when I was traveling and hanging out with my fam last week during, again, the 4th of July here in the United States, I didn't have to worry about fulfilling things. It was just like that, all that ordering process was all in there. That's what I mean by giving yourself a break and allowing your business to run itself. Strikingly is a great companion with it. Again, I I I get so many pitches for different websites and different platforms and different fulfillment. And again, I'm a founder myself, so I know what's out there. I know some folks that are creating these types of platforms. And I've been with Strikingly for a long time for a reason. So shout out to Strikingly. I appreciate y'all. And be sure and check out the link and click the link below, I mean, to check out what's happening, as well as go to damebrown.net and see what Strikingly can do. Again, they're killer with the multimedia, not only with having stores on there, but also as far as e-commerce, but also with me being able to embed the different TED related talks I've done, the keynotes I've done. Almost all of them are embedded in my website, and it's really smooth. And I love how it works. My favorite book right now, hands down. And if you've been watching recently, I've been reading so much. I've been reading like probably a book every 2 weeks, which is a lot for me. Sometimes a book a week. That's where I was at, and more in the spring. Summertime, I'm slowing down a little bit. Fantastic book. Ref, not Ref. I don't know what a Ref is. Rest as Resistance by Dr. Trisha Hersey. Shout out to you. I don't know you, but I love your work. Fantastic, fantastic book. I cannot recommend it more. It talks about how rest it has it's not it's not as simple as us saying I can't take a break right now because I'm a business owner or my family needs me or whatever. It's not as simple as that. It's actually a little bit more insidious, to be honest. It's more that the capitalist system that we have, particularly here in America, it's focused on America, but I think it does apply. A little bit of travel I have done does apply to other first world, if you want to call it, countries. The capitalist system that we have right now is built to extract as much as possible from the worker, from the creator, from the consumer, from the founder, from the creator, from the consumer. And you can use different terms for that trifecta. So we're all part of this system. We're all part of this game. The consumer wants to continue to buy things based on what they're told. But to buy things, you need to have money. To have money, you need to work. So many consumers are working overtime so they can keep up with the Joneses and fit into the advertising model or whatever deep conversation you want to have with that. But you know where I'm going with that, I believe. The worker needs to continue to work because the systems are set up so that it might not be equitable for them. They don't necessarily have the power. Let's talk about unions and other things, but the average worker does not have the power to say, hey, I'm going to get a raise today. Hey, my kid is sick. I'm going to go and stay at home. They usually need to at minimum, get a cosign. Worst case scenario, they can't. They need to keep going. And of course, it falls to us as founders because the way things are built, we need to make an impact or want to make an impact in a certain way, but we might not get the resources that not even deserve, but actually need to make an impact in the world. The reason why I started a publishing company was because the publishers that I was in communication with, I'll put it like that, did not see the vision for this show. They did not see the vision for what became best-selling books. They didn't see the vision. They believed that the side hustle, the solopreneurs, the non-traditional entrepreneurs, literally the 18,000 plus of y'all that subscribe to this show to this date, the publishers I talked to said y'all did not exist. What? What? That's why I'm doing a whole thing with creative power strategy. Again, I mentioned at the top of the show, as far as finding your particular strategy to work within the system. Again, in case you missed, I did the episode 2 weeks ago. It's in the links I just talked about at the top of the show. Be sure and check it out. That's why I'm doing the whole thing, because we need to find ways to work within the systems that we're in. Sorry, you got me hitting the microphone, but work within the systems that we're in. She gets into that and articulates it in ways she's got a PhD for a reason. Like she's got it on a whole nother level. I love the book. I'm savoring it. I'm just taking my time reading it. Woo! It's such a good book. If you're not sure why you feel like you can't take a break, buy this book. It will explain to you why you feel like you can't take a break. If you want some healthy consumerism, support Dr. Hershey's stuff. You will not regret it. Okay. Fantastic book. Again, my favorite book so far this year, like by far. It ain't even close. Speaking of such, one of my other favorite authors, Brene Brown, shout out to her. How to Slow Down Without Losing Your Business. I've been mentioning this episode a lot because it's actually fit really well, particularly here in the summertime, here in America. And it's kind of that time where we want to slow down, but we feel guilt or shame around it. Brene Brown, super busy, focus on emotional intelligence, particularly guilt and shame. And about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I think it was February before last, she went on LinkedIn and our social media platforms. I'm really only on LinkedIn, but on the social media platforms, and she said, "Hey, I'm burning out, so I'm gonna stop for a little while. I'll probably be back in the fall, but yeah, you got I got two podcasts and about 1,000 episodes on both of them. Yeah, right, right. As Biggie said, if you want more game, just press rewind. Like I already said what I got to say, and I need to take a break." And if you know her story, she's a recovering alcoholic. She's dealt with a lot of guilt and shame in her life. She's all like, I'm not going to go to the brink so I can just keep creating. I don't care about the Netflix special. No, I'm gonna take a break. The way she did it was so graceful. I did a whole episode about it. Episode's about 15 minutes long. It's absolutely worth your time. Again, if you're struggling with guilt or shame around taking a break, definitely go ahead and see what's up with that. All right, so we're talking about specifically if I can get my voice back. Suddenly my voice went away. My apologies. It was like, hey, it's 115 degrees. You don't need a voice, Damon. Why? How to run your business while on vacation. We just talked about why can't I take a break? If you're struggling with that, again, we just talked about it, but it comes down to maybe your to-do list is too long and you need some help and/or you need to change your expectations. Maybe being a little bit too much of a perfectionist when it comes to how things are executed, or you feel like the timing is perfect right now, but then you have to ask yourself, is the timing perfect in a market universe standpoint, macro, as the economists say, or is it perfect because you really want to do it right now? If it's perfect because you really want to do it right now, that means you don't need to do it right now. That means you can actually be patient about it. Again, my name is Damon Brown. You're watching Bring Your Worth Show. I'm an entrepreneurial coach, side hustler, solopreneurs. I got your back. I got your support. I'm with you. It's every Wednesday at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. You subscribe for free. So, do you feel like you can't take a break? Why do you feel like you can't take a break? Jump into the comments. I love to hear your take on it. All right. So, it's like, all right, you know, maybe I can go in and take a break. I understand what's going on with that, but then maybe there's something deeper going on. If I can't afford to take a break, why should I? I get this question a lot from entrepreneurs I'm working with, um, where they're like, I could be making money, I could be making a legacy, I could be providing for my family, I could be getting a new customer. Why the heck should I take a week off? Why should I take a day off? Why should I take an afternoon off? Why should I stop and eat lunch? Tell me why I should stop and eat lunch. Because I could be out here grinding and you're on that, you should rest. Well, there's a few reasons, and actually they directly impact. I would argue the success of your company. The first reason why you should take a break, aside from the physical parts of it and all those things, we already addressed a little bit of that. We don't need to get into that. The first reason is that it means you're really building for the long term versus the short term. The short term is all nighters. I used to live in Silicon Valley. In that era, it was Red Bull and vodkas. I'm not a fan of either, so that was not my culture. But it was living in SF, San Francisco. Shout out to y'all. At that era, it was folks that are much younger than me in their early 20s. Red Bull and vodkas, programming all night, doing UX, which is the user design or user experience, all night, doing whatever it's all night, grinding it out in the hopes of spinning something up, as we used to say, spinning something up, some type of startup, some type of idea, so that they would get funding or more importantly, be bought by, at the time, I think it was five. because there's five major tech companies now. I think it was six at the time. Six, one of the six major tech companies, including like Amazon or Apple or Facebook, which is now Meta. That was the energy. And let me tell you straight up, I was a journalist at the time. I wasn't even an entrepreneur yet. And I was reporting for the New York Post. Shout out to them and other folks. Playboy, shout out to y'all as well. And so I was outside, not just as a reporter, but just being part of the culture. And folks would be on that track. I've seen early 20 somethings, 22, 23, just out of college, come to SF. They have that lifestyle for a few months, maybe a year. And then suddenly they get the sunken eyes and it's like they become shells of themselves. I've seen it. Like even just thinking about it, you probably see it in my eyes. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. I know some people got lost out there. I'll leave it at that. Some people got lost out there in that fast life. What I learned from that is that if you're not taking care of yourself, you're betting on the short term. What I always say to my coaching clients, if you're a coaching client of mine, I've almost guaranteed I've said this to you at one period of time or another during our sessions. Whatever systems, whatever you're doing right now, is that sustainable 5 years from now? I'm recording this where you're hanging out with me live in 2024, summertime. So summertime, July, whatever month it is, July of 2029. Think about that. However you're treating your body, however you're treating your family, however you're treating yourself, are you going to be good for, say, 2,000 days? That's about right, right? About 1,800 days, maybe closer to 1,500. Let's say 1,500 days. You're going to do this for 1,500 days? That's it's not a threat. It's a promise because what we do regularly becomes our habits. And as one philosopher said, our habits become who we are because it's the stuff that we repeat. So if you're not taking care of your body, if you're not taking care and connecting with your family, chosen or blood family, I don't mean just your mama, chosen or blood family, people that you love, people that you care about. If you're not taking care of your customers, if you're really about the grind culture, if you're really about, I'm going to make an impact and my company is going to be worth $1 trillion, or my company is going to be on the cover of Inc. magazine, shout out to Inc. magazine, I write for them. You, is that the way you're going to do it? Because if you're really about that life, as we used to say, if you're really about that life, you'd be handling things differently. You'd actually be cultivating the patience. So if you're questioning why should I take a break, my question is why shouldn't you take a break? If you're interested in the longevity of yourself and your company, and even after you sell this company, longevity of yourself after that. All the neglect that we put into our bodies, our souls, our minds, emotionally, it's not like it goes away. As a famous book says, the body keeps score. It doesn't go away. And so whatever you're sacrificing, however you're sacrificing, it better be worthwhile. And often the sacrifices we make are so short-sighted that we're not able to do it. The business, which is bringingworth.tv, is now part of that business. So you're experiencing part of my business. It's been around for more than a couple decades. It would not, I would not be around if I didn't take care of myself along the way. And that leads to the second reason why the pause makes sense, is that it allows you to have enough objectivity to actually strategize, to have the long-term thinking. I've taken a couple breaks for with bringingworth.tv. Like I've done a few reruns here and there. I'm usually here every week, usually once a week. But I've taken some breaks and all that. And when I've taken those breaks, I'll be playing with my kids. They're still young enough where we play with Legos and stuff, which I appreciate that time. So we'll be playing with Legos or something. I'll be the cliche. I'll be taking a shower. When it's not a million degrees outside, I'll go take a walk. It's quite mountainous here in Las Vegas, believe it or not. I know a lot of y'all never left the strip, but it's a whole bunch of mountains around if you look up. And so, doing really, really mild hikes, like on some local hills here in our neighborhoods. And that's when these ideas come, including some of the most popular episodes that you guys have really dug here on Bring Your Worth TV. And so it gives you enough time to actually strategize. And some of the recommendations I'm about to give you will help you with that process. So, number one, if you're really in it in the long term, if you're really about that life, you're like, I'm going to go ahead and have a legacy like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, whomever, Tyler Perry, if that's more your vibe, whatever. You can't grind every single day at 24 hours a day. You can do that. But again, I'm middle aged now. That stuff will catch up to you probably sooner rather than later. Again, I've seen it. Used to live in Silicon Valley. I've seen it. Trust me on this one. So if you're really about the long term, eat that lunch, take that nap. For God's sake, please take a shower, touch some grass, as they used to say. So that's why you do it. Seth Godin, shout out to Seth, talks about this, where he's like, if you end up burning yourself out, you're of no use to anybody, especially your customer. So if you're really about serving the world and you burn yourself out, you're not going to be serving anybody, including yourself. It's better to go ahead and take the long cut, as he says, rather than the shortcut. Take your time. Every single business that I've built, including this one that you're watching right here, took time from the couple, literally 10 subscribers, to the 18,000 of y'all that are joining me now. If I was trying to push so hard or had to be overnight, man, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't be talking to y'all right now. I'd be probably somewhere asleep trying to catch up on my life. So that's number one. The second part of it is that when you actually do take a break, it gives you enough objectivity to actually strategize in a big way. This leads to my recommendation. Mike Mikalowicz, shout out to you again. Great book called Clockwork. I know the macro part of it. I'm actually deep diving into some of the details of it, but I really like the book. Here's a basic idea. You should be able to create systems so that your business runs like clockwork. That's it. And so he talks about systems thinking, which I didn't realize until recent years, where I actually am a systems thinker, even when it comes to like organized stuff for like with my partner, for my kids and all that stuff. It's like I'm always thinking systems. I'm like, okay, this happened. What system can we build so that, especially if something happens like three times, it's like what system can we build to make sure that we're good to go and this can and we can go ahead and resolve this so it doesn't happen in the future. Not about making rules and regulations, more about again building systems, which is what we're really talking about here. If you're able to create a good system, you can actually stop. I was able to stop for a few days last week and nothing went off the rails. At least not I know. I'll keep checking around. But so far, that's because I have systems in place. Again, some of the stuff I'm recommending in this episode. What I love about Mike's book and his argument is that he takes you through what constitutes a good system. And it was a great analogy. I don't think it's mentioned, I think, briefly in the book, but I heard it when he was talking on a podcast. Love hearing him talk. He's a great speaker. And he was talking about how, I think it was with doctors, or it might have been specifically chiropractors, where if someone comes in with an issue in their, say, lower back, right, as I straighten up, in their lower back, what the chiropractor will ask about is how they sleep. Because sleeping affects your hips and how you sleep. So if you sleep upside down, like you're being held hostage, or you sleep on your back, or you sleep fetal position like a baby, you sleep with somebody, you're like spooning them, big spoon, little spoon, the 20 different sleeping positions. You know what I'm talking about. They'll ask about where your hips are. Because if there's misalignment in what's right below you, then what's right above you will compensate for it. So if you have lower back issues, they look at the hips. If you have hip issues, they look at your knees. If you have knee issues, they look at your ankles. I can keep going. I have a headache. Oh, that's because I'm stressed out and my shoulders are up. That's putting strain on my brain. Like like clockwork. Great name. There's not a better name in the universe as far as I'm concerned. Whoever came up with the name, kudos for you. That's what he talks about in the book. If you do not have the systems in place to take a break, then you're absolutely right. You won't be able to take a break. If you're the sole proprietor, if you're the founder, even if you're the co-founder, no, it ain't gonna happen, Captain, because the list is too long. But if you have systems in place and you're able to use the processes as Mike talks about in his book, maybe you can create a system where you can take a break and making it a little bit broader. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the episode as far as what our version of a break is, 'cause I think that's really important too. Anyway, congrats to Mike, and fantastic stuff going on there. All right. If you're going to go ahead um, and learn more about the systems, excuse me, and actually build a break, then you're going to have to work on systems. Sorry, got mixed up here again. Technology with you're going to have to build those systems. Those systems could be internal, or as talked about, they can be external. One of my favorite systems is Meet Edgar. Shout out to them. Solo female founder. Shout out to Laura. You're killing it. I love your work. Um, Let me get over to Meet Edgar. There we go. And we're going to show my Meet Edgar. And I'll make it a little bit broader so you guys can see what's happening. This is my Meet Edgar. And Meet Edgar is really simple. What it does is it says, okay, you want to push stuff out to social media. And if you're familiar with my work, I don't spend a whole lot of time on social media. This is one of the secrets. You want to push out stuff on social media. Some of y'all that I work with, some of y'all that are my colleagues, you say, I can't leave social media, Damon. I need to be on there all the time for engagement and because myself, my business, or the people that I work for, that I consult for, whatever, they they need their stuff pushed out. So I can't leave. I'm stuck. Excuse me. Even when I'm on vacation, I need to have my phone at all times. This helps with that. It basically says, Meet Edgar basically says, okay, you know what you want to post. And it might be what we call evergreen. So evergreen, just like the trees, they last forever. They're always in season. You know what I mean? They never go away. They don't really molt or shed. You can't tell what time of year it is based on looking at an evergreen tree for the most part because they're always going to look the same. That's what it means by evergreen content, right? So a lot of the stuff that I do on Bring Your Worth TV is evergreen. We're always going to be talking about taking a vacation. It might be more pertinent during, say, holiday season or during right now during the summer here in the United States or in Australia, maybe 6 months from now when you guys have summer. But it's always going to be a pertinent topic. That's evergreen. Evergreen might be, hey, check out our website. We have these we have these wares for you, and let us know how we can serve you. That has no time limit on it. If you have content like that, Meet Edgar's like, bet, go ahead and put your content into what we call a library, and then set up periods of time, as you can see, periods of time when it's going to post. And it's like, all right, Damon, so Monday at 5 a.m., I'm sorry, 5:45 a.m. on LinkedIn, that's when you want to share a Bring Your Worth episode. You got almost 400 episodes of Bring Your Worth. Put all the posts into our library, and then we're going to pick a random one, and we'll go and share it. The beauty about that is twofold. Number one, I don't need to do anything, right? Again, shout out to Laura and Meet Edgar. That's one. The second thing, right? So I can go about my business again, hang out with my kids, whatever. The second thing is that it allows a level of randomness and freshness that I couldn't even do physically. You might go ahead and be on LinkedIn or a certain platform and see Bringworth episode, I think it was episode 67, which is one of the most popular episodes. It's about Brene Brown and interacting with people that you don't like. In fact, I'm positive it's in the description below because again, it's one of the most popular episodes. So I have it in the description if you want to check it out. I think it's episode 67. That was 300 plus episodes ago. Even though it's one of my most popular episodes on Bring Worth TV, even I forgot about it. And Meet Edgar's like, oh no, let's go ahead and get it out so other people can see this episode. Let's have people check it out. Or it could be an episode that's an underperforming episode or something that few people have watched. Like I have one of my favorite episodes about the difference between price and cost. Super short episode. So proud of it. I love the concept. In fact, I got it from Seth Godin. Shout out to him again. And Meet Edgar might be like, okay, let's push it out. Totally random. And it's at the time of day that makes the most sense. And that's how the whole system's set up. It's really that simple. I love working with them. As you can tell, I'm enthused. Oh, I don't even use that word. I guess I'm using it today. I'm enthused about them, and they are right. Right, it's fresh. Thank you, Angel. I see you over on Amazon. Right, it's fresh. It's fresh. It's fresh as hell, as we used to say. And so be sure and check them out. Links below. You'll get a bonus if you end up using my link. Go and see what's happening. See what's up. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, really good stuff. And let's go to one of my favorite episodes. I just did this recently. Yes, 89. Real recently. It was the last episode I did, but last official episode. Those other episodes on there. If you're a fan and subscribe, be sure to subscribe below if you didn't want to catch all the goodness. How pausing builds success. This is actually a compilation episode of three strong nuggets. And it's super short. I want to say it's like 6, 7 minutes long about why pausing matters. I talk about the Johari window, which is about how we can know ourselves and others. I talk about the systems and the awareness that we get when we pause. And I get into how we can figure out our priorities so that when we pause, we'll make sure our priorities are taken care of. And I love it, love it, love it. Angel, if you want to, thanks for the shout out. If you want to go and catch me, you can catch me over on LinkedIn or as well as bringyourworth.tv. I'm live there right now. So thank you so much for the shout out over on Amazon. There's like three different platforms, so I'm trying to give love to everybody. So I appreciate you, Angel. So that one episode, which I have right there, I think is really crucial to this conversation. If you're going to pause, you need to have the correct reason to do so. Because you need to be motivated to create a system. You need to be motivated to get the support, as I talked about earlier in the episode. You have to be motivated to have the priorities that are down to like one index card and focus on those so that you have time to focus on what you really care about. You need to be motivated enough to do that. This episode hopefully will provide some of that for you. All right. Love the conversation and as well as over on Amazon. So shout out to y'all over on Amazon. Again, my name is Damon Brown. I'm an entrepreneurial coach. I'm help side hustlers, solopreneurs, also non-traditional entrepreneurs. So if you're underrepresented and undersupported, if you're trying to do things while having little kids at home, which is my thing, or you got parents that you're taking care of, older relatives, shout out to y'all that are really supporting the caregiving, and you're trying to still make an impact on the world. I'm here to support you with that love. Um, Bring Your Worth TV. This episode 390, as I talked about. There's 389 episodes behind us. Subscribe, check it out, have fun. There's a lot of topics that, as I've coached several hundred of y'all at this point, and there's so many topics that have come up in those conversations. I'm a one-on-one coach, so in those intimate, deep conversations that I've had with y'all, I try to do episodes that are related to those. So be sure and rewind it back, see what's going on. You subscribe for free. I think it's always going to be free. BringYourWorth.tv, and you get my latest book, the complete Bring Your Worth collection, at all the platforms. Got so many books up here. I got to find it again, containing my 8 books, 7 or 8, I'm losing count, 7 or 8 books in the Bring Your Worth series so far. And that'll be the best hint I can give for y'all. All right. If you have any comments or questions, if you feel conflicted about where you can actually, if you can actually take a break, be sure and yeah, throw something in the link, in the comments. No links, please, please, no sneaky links in the comments. Throw a comment in the comments, and we'll go from there. All right. Most important part. Thanks for staying with me. How do I schedule my break? It's like, all right, Damon, you got me. I thought I couldn't take a break, and then I thought I didn't need a break. You got me. I read the literature. I heard what you're saying. All right. How the hell do I actually schedule a break? Good question. There's 2 rules, and I've been a long time napper. I managed to schedule breaks, and people, particularly now I became a coach over the last like 10 years. People are like, "Well, how do you did 27 books? How did you actually take a break? How does that happen?" Here's the 2 keys for me. The first thing is to look at it as a periodical thing. Look at it as a lifestyle change versus say retirement. I have elders that are looking at retirement. I have elders that are in retirement right now. It's like I don't need to retire. You probably don't need to retire. Shout out to y'all that are dealing with chronic illnesses and other things where you need an extended break. Love to y'all. I coach some of y'all. If you need to do that, do what you need to do. For a lot of us, though, we just need like a minute, a minute to breathe, a moment to reflect. We can't we can't put that in. Most days I meditate for 5 minutes on my little meditation mat, either over here or, over in the bedroom, depending on where the boys are at, because my boys can get pretty loud, but I find a space for it. And that's my little respite. On most days, most weekdays, I squeeze in a nap, usually for 45 minutes. It works with my body. I took a nap today, especially it's hot as heck today. Hot as fish grease today, as they used to say. So I took a little break. And that's why I'm able to have this hour-long conversation with y'all and keep my energy up. A break is walking to the neighborhood store, the bodega, if you're over in the hood, shout out to y'all on the East Coast, or to the grocery store where I'm not in the hood, it's a grocery store. And you end up taking that walk. And it's like 10 minutes. There's ways that you can introduce it in. It doesn't have to be a black and white thing. It's called a zero sum game, if you want to get into the psychology of it. And so many of us look at taking a break as a zero sum game. Oh man, I need a break so bad. It needs to be in Turks and Caicos. It needs to be at the 5-star Ritz Carlton Hotel. And my wife and I are going to be there. And oh yeah, we got to bring the fin. Bro, suddenly it went from I need a moment to breathe to let me go and plan this $20,000 vacation. Probably more than that. I've never been to Turks and Caicos for that reason, right? Need to save up a little bit more for that. Do you understand what I'm saying? We can elevate it so high, or we can say I'm going to go and take a week off, but after I finish this massive project. Again, so much is built into it that it can fall apart really quickly. And with that in mind, make it more periodical. If the weather is nice, then eat number one, eat lunch, but number two, eat your lunch outside for 5 minutes. Even if you're scarfing it down, just take a breath. There's ways that we can rest that don't require these huge commitments. Because then it becomes more of an executive function slash um, perfectionism slash the such massive goal that ends up not happening and we end up not taking a break at all. So our standards end up getting so high that we end up overwhelming ourselves. That's what I'm trying to say. Let me put the psychobabble to the side. We end up making the goal so high as far as what our break is going to be that we end up overwhelming ourselves and not making a break at all. And then before we know it, you got extra gray hairs, not a few of them, and it is retirement, and you're exhausted for real, and you might even have some problems because of it. And maybe your fam doesn't know you because you've been grinding it out the whole time. Maybe you don't know yourself. That's a deep one because you've been grinding out the whole time because you haven't stopped. Is that worth it? I don't think so. So, number one, focus on the periodical, the little things. It doesn't have to be the massive 5-star resort vacation because once you get there, you're not going to know how to rest anyway. I read about this in the original Bites as Entrepreneur, which again is in the complete Bring Your Worth collection. It's like if you're used to grinding it and they're ingrained in your habits, you've been doing it for 10, 20, 30 years. You think once you get that villa, hopefully, I wish you well. You think you're gonna be able to relax, dude? You're 30 years out of habit. Mm-mm. Start building that now. Shout out to Tim Ferriss who came up with the concept of a mini retirement, where you take like a couple weeks off. You take a sabbatical for a month. Do that, but banking everything on this thing, and yeah, you can tell it's a touch point for me. I can talk about this all day because once you get to that point where you actually can take that long-term break, that dream vacation. Some of us don't make it. Real talk. Either physically, mentally, emotionally, we're not able to do it, or by the time we get there, we ain't here. I mean, for real, for real. There's, you're on permanent vacation. You're gone. I want better for y'all. You deserve better. If we're gonna sacrifice all this stuff to make our impact on the world as independent entrepreneurs, as side hustlers, as solopreneurs, then you know, don't sacrifice yourself. Keep yourself around so that you can actually enjoy the world that you're building. Keep yourself around so that you can actually enjoy the world that you're building. And the best way to do that is to take care of yourself along the way. So that's the first level. Don't worry about the big fancy break or vacation, focus on the periodical, the 5 minute meditations in the morning, the spend an extra 5, 10 minutes in the shower. If you're paying your water bill and it's not harming anybody, spend an extra 5, 10 minutes in the shower. Take a bath and then just sit in it. I love taking baths. Do something that fits your particular environment, that fits your resources, that's small enough so that you can start doing it immediately. Do that. The second thing, which often can get us into trouble, is please, please be transparent if you're going to take a break. Let people know. When I was gone for a couple days last week, I let people know. I was like, yeah, that meeting, yeah, I'm not, yeah, yeah, we might need to shift that because no. Had a couple overseas clients, and I was like, yeah, that's what Americans do. 4th of July this week is on a third. Oh, I'm sorry, this year is on a Thursday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is pretty much a wash. Not for me, but in general, that's how we do. Just being honest about it. If you knew my clients, you could ask them. They knew. And it's like, and I have family stuff going on. Like, yeah, yeah, I'm gonna be out of office for a day or two. And traveling, yeah, I'm really gonna be out of the office. So be transparent about it. Again, the Brene Brown example in links below. If you happen to miss the earlier part of the episode, she was super transparent, which was why I adore how she handled it. She's like, look, I'm burning out. I'll see y'all in a minute. I got 1,000 episodes of two different, I think she might have three different podcasts. Listen to those. Rewind, check it out. I need to get refreshed because if I'm not taking care of myself, I can't take care of y'all. I can't show up in the way that I promised to. So I need a break. Be honest. You don't have to give 5 million different reasons. You don't have to say, no, I'm burning out, so I can't see y'all. You don't need to do that. You can just say, hey, like a dentist appointment. I just had one a few weeks ago. You don't feel guilty about a dentist appointment, right? It's like, I want to keep my teeth. I'm gonna go see the dentist, get a cleaning or whatever. Get feedback, get some X-rays. Treat it like a dentist appointment. I'm gonna take Friday afternoon off. I don't know if I am, but let's just say I'm gonna take Friday afternoon off. Okay, out of office, done. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. So number one thing is to focus on doing the periodical, the things you can do, execute right now. Super simple, literally right now, within the next 24 hours. What's that one thing you can do that will give you a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of rest? And the second thing is to give other people a heads up. Not that you're taking a break per se, but that you might not be available. You don't have to give them details. You just do your thing. If you're gonna take a break, one of my favorite tools to do so. Shout out to Beehive. I just transferred my newsletter. I talked about it earlier at joindamon.me. It's free. The link is right below. Um, and I just transferred over to Beehive at the top of the year. I couldn't be more happier. More happy? Let's just say more happy. Working on the English today. More happy. I couldn't be more happy. Beehive works like this. Let me go ahead and give you all the game straight up. I don't know why I'm making noises, but hey, that's how it works. All right. Again, hopefully the tech will work for me. I think we're for those watching at home, literally. I think we're at about 116 degrees right now. So yes, I better. I'm gonna start to wrap up this live before literally my stuff overheats because I'm using the camera and other stuff. I am not kidding. We have good air conditioning too. Doesn't matter when when tires are melting. It's hardcore. All right, Beehive newsletter platform built for growth for creators by creators. True. It was actually founded by was it Morning Brew? I think it's the founders of Morning Brew. Shout out to y'all. Now, one of their name is Tyler, and I forget the name of the other folks involved, but shout out to y'all. But they decided to start a newsletter platform, and it is really straightforward. Again, free trial. The link is below. I think you might even get a bonus if you end up using my link. And it's set up really straightforward. It's almost like publishing a blog. If you guys are old school and you remember like a WordPress and stuff like that, it's like publishing a blog. So you don't have to do the heavy coding. You don't have to learn HTML or JavaScript or anything crazy. The cool part about it too, which I believe they have it on this first page. This is the one. I'm the passive income guy. This is a conversation. They're fantastic because they actually will connect you with ad opportunities. So if you get the newsletter at joindamon.me, you see there's advertising in there. More like sponsorship, super light, nothing intrusive. They will actually partner you with folks who want to advertise in your newsletter. And then often you'll get paid per click. So if a certain amount of people, let's say 10 people, click um, the um, the sponsorship portal, whatever you want to call it, on your newsletter, you get paid, let's say $1 per click or $2 per click, whatever. And then that's paid by the company who's sponsoring it. And then that ends up in your bank account, I think, usually within 3 to 4 weeks, sometimes faster, depends on the company. So within the month, you're getting paid for that. The reason I bring this up when it comes to rest is that you can schedule these. Again, you notice a pattern. I talked about Strikingly, which allows you to do e-commerce really smoothly. Again, the link is below. You can watch the earlier part of the episode for that, or the full episode if you're watching the clips. The link is below for all of that. You have Meet Edgar, which allows you to keep your socials going, even when you're away, even when you're out of the country. Been there, done that. It's fantastic service for that. And lastly, with this one, with the newsletter, you can schedule them as far as advance as you want. If I know I'm going to be out of town and I have a weekly commitment to have a newsletter to you guys at joindamon.me at 5:55 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time, every Wednesday, I know I'm going to do it every Wednesday. So sometimes I'm doing the newsletter, frankly, the night before to go ahead and make sure I get the latest information in there because it might be related to something I'm doing with Bring Your Worth TV or a new article that comes out or a new opportunity that's come through. But sometimes I'll go and do the newsletter like well in advance, and it's scheduled in there, it's organized, the advertising set up, and it's good to go. This is a case of when I first started my newsletter way back in the day. I'm going to tell you how long it was, but let's say it was more than a decade. When I started my newsletter back in the day, then it was me literally BCCing, which means blind CC, which means I was sending to everybody, but no one else could see the email addresses. And that was me doing it for, it became a couple hundred people. And I was like, okay, I need to come up with a different system. I work with other platforms. The other platforms are fine, but this one works really well because then I'm able to go and organize it. People can subscribe. Again, the links are right below. You subscribe right now. It's all automated. And then you'll start getting my newsletters next Wednesday. And if you go to joindamon.me, all my newsletters are archived. So if you missed a newsletter, you're welcome to go in and check it out. I think the archive goes back to, say, February of this year. So it goes back about 5 or so months, maybe 6. So fantastic stuff. It will allow you to get a little bit more space. If we're going to be talking about systems and long term, we got to talk about the book Upstream by Dan Heath, one of my favorite books, literally of all time, especially when it comes to system thinking. Upstream is a basic idea. If there's stuff going on, and there's actually a parable in the book that talks about this, that's where the upstream comes from. If you think about a river and there's garbage going into the river, and where the river's flowing this way, downstream. Upstream is at the top of the river, downstream is at the bottom of the river. I used to live in New Orleans, so I take that for granted, but before I moved there, I didn't really even think about it. But upstream, top of the river, downstream, bottom of the river. Let's say all this garbage is coming into the river, and we're downstream, and we keep seeing all this garbage, and we keep taking the garbage out, taking the garbage out, and it's like this is frustrating. We're using so many resources, so much time. We're sweating getting all this garbage out. I'm so sick of dealing with this garbage. We can leave it at that and just say we need to put systems in place to get the garbage out. So we need to have people taking turns getting the garbage out because there's garbage in there every day. Or we can go upstream. And to do that, we have to ask the question, where is the garbage coming from? We so often do not, as humans, as people, myself included, we don't question where the garbage comes from. All we know is that there's garbage here, we need to handle it. Let's get it done. Our to-do list. Let's keep it going. I just need to get through this. I need to to push through this. I need to keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Because I can't afford to stop. I can't stop. I can't stop. The theme of this episode. But what if we just paused just for a millisecond and said, hey, we seem to be burning ourselves out. We're getting tired. Did anyone ask where the garbage has come from? Is it coming? It's coming from upstream. Why don't we go upstream and handle the garbage? Why don't we find out the source of those issues? Why don't we figure out that problem? And once we do that, then we can get to the source. Maybe not the final destination, no horror movie, but maybe not the final destination, but we can get a little bit closer and be like, oh, well, some of the garbage comes from this part, and some of the garbage comes from this part. Wow, if we pause even more and go even further up the river, upstream, wow, we actually found out the source. And suddenly we come back downstream and we don't need that part of the system at all. That's the best way I can describe the book Upstream. He's way more articulate and gives a ton of examples, dozens, but maybe even like 100 examples of upstream thinking, from how police departments are run, to I think it was dealing with teenage kids and dropout. I think something about that. Like, it was so many different examples. Fantastic book, particularly if you are a founder, a side hustler, a solopreneur. If you're watching this show, you need to read this book. I have the audiobook. I need to get the physical book so it could be on my shelf because I want to tell everybody about it. Fantastic book. And when you are ready, when you're ready to take a break, a few episodes ago, favorite road tripping gear from yours truly. My favorite stuff to travel with. If you've been watching the show for a while, if you know me personally, you know I love to travel. Been traveling my whole life. Traveling, I think, opens up so many different things. And traveling doesn't have to be you going overseas somewhere or you needing a passport. My passport's like right. My passport stays on me. My passport's right here. But it also could be just you going to a different neighborhood. You doing a staycation. I did that with my boys recently, where we were in a hotel. We just chilled out. Especially again with it being 114 degrees. It could be that. All that fits into there. And some of this has to do with also being able to rest and relax on the road. Some of y'all, I'm so proud of y'all from Patty McCracken, who has an awesome book called The Angel Makers out, to other folks who are coming out with books recently and going on tour. Salute to y'all. I haven't been on book tour in a little while. Most of my book tours recently have been virtual, but man, yeah, road tripping can be hard when you're actually on the road with business. So I talk about that as well, and those things that keep me psychologically sound while I'm doing it. Hey, thanks to all of y'all that did your comments, even on Amazon. I was checking out the comments as I was looking down on Amazon Live. I appreciate y'all as well, particularly Angel. Thanks for following, and I hope I can support your work as well. I'm entrepreneurial coach Damon Brown. I'm coach of side hustlers, solopreneurs, otherwise non-traditional entrepreneurs. Bring your show every Wednesday at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. You subscribe for free. If you're watching on LinkedIn, you can follow me over there. If you're watching on the Amazon, you can follow me over there too. Subscribe, whatever. I know sometimes this gets put on other platforms I'm not on, so feel free to click the links below or come through to the official link at bringyourworth.tv. You subscribe from there. And the complete Bring Your Worth collection is available now from myself as well as from good publishers literally all around the world. The audiobook is also available online. If you go in and click the link, you can listen to the audiobook for free. It's a gift from me to you. Hey, I'm the publisher. I feel like making it free to y'all. Go and click the link below. You can enjoy the audiobook. Or if you want to go ahead and take it on the road, of course, you can get it at your favorite booksellers. Man, hope you guys get a chance to take a break. I'm going to go ahead and enjoy some tonic water. Probably there's nothing too heavy in this one. And yeah, probably get a little bit of work done, hang out with my kids. Maybe I'll take a nap. I think I convinced myself. Anyway, until next time, remember you can always bring your worth. You can always build from now. Take care of yourself and others. And yeah, what break can you take in the next 24 hours? I'd love to hear it next time. Bye for now.